All right, man. Teofimo Lopez defeats Pedro Campa last night. I watched the fight, but then afterwards I was tired. I went to sleep, dude. Um, but I watched the whole fight. But I got an interesting interesting point of view um, about the fight, right? About Teofimo Lopez, right? So he won in the seventh round TKO. He reminds me a lot of Adrian Broner. All right. And I'm gonna elaborate on that. He reminds me a lot of Adrian Broner in his fighting style a little bit. I mean, a lot, and I'm gonna tell you why I believe that to be true. But um, early on, Campo was out working him, and Teofimo Lopez power bailed him out. I think, yeah, he was knocking the rust off. I believe him when he say that. He looked sharp last night, even before he knocked the rust off. His opponent, he didn't really have the power that you wanted to see, from him. But he knew that he wasn't a powerful opponent. So he supplemented not having power with value, and kind of pushed T.O. to the ropes a couple of times with his aggression. It took T.O. a minute to really find his distance as a sharpshooting, counter punching, um, boxer, counter puncher. But his punches look crisp. He did look a little slow in there. I don't know if he bulked up a little bit or it was just him, picking his shots. But he did look a little slow in there. But he was talking about after the fight how it was him trusting his lungs again, and he wasn't really sure. And can you credit that to the 2 weeks of sparring? That's the only thing he did. Now, I didn't really, hear that anybody said why he did 2 weeks of sparring. But guess what? The end result was him knocking out Pedro Campo on the 7th. So when I heard they did 2 weeks of sparring, was it an injury? Was it by design? Was they just working on fundamentals? Was they working on trusting his lungs? Were they not trying to take no punches to the ribs? Because when you get, something like that, it's always a reason why. So I didn't really hear them explain the reason why he only sparred 2 weeks. But obviously, you look at the result. It wasn't like they was going in there versus Devin Haney and etc. Or Ryan Garcia or somebody like that, or Tank Davis. But yeah. Early on, Pedro was out working on, but Teo was landing a higher mountain to cleaner shots throughout the fight. So that's one thing we can say. He was landing a higher clip rate. Pedro threw way more punches than him, I think, through half the fight. But Teo was landing the bigger punches. Now they already saying he coming back 12-10 2022. That's already a boxer at Madison Square Garden. He probably coming back versus Arnold Barboza. That's who he's supposed to fight. So yeah, last night he fought for the North American Federation Super Lightweight vacant title and the WBO International Super Lightweight title, FYI. And I just think, last night it took him a minute to find his footing. In my opinion, it took him a minute to find his footing, the distance, but he found it. And at one point, then like his punches was having an effect for a while, but his father turned around and said that he wasn't really loading up on his shots. That kind of concerned me right then and there too, was because if he's not loading up on the shots, them shots was coming off slow. I think they might have put too much muscle on, if we being honest, because he wasn't as fast and explosive as he was at 35, and that's what's going. I mean, when you move up in weight a certain type of way, Roy Jones wasn't as fast as he was at light heavyweight when he moved up to heavyweight. He put on all muscle. Ultimately, that's what did him in. And that's what did him, coming back down in weight. I think Teofimo Lopez made him bulked up too much. And what they got to understand, of course, you fight bigger fighters, you got to be a lot more durable, fighting those bigger fighters, but you got to also maintain your speed when you move up. Your speed and intellect are your two biggest advantages. But also, once you look at it too, there's a different breed of specimen out here today, different breed of athlete. A lot of these dudes moving up and they looking stronger and physically stronger when they get in the weight class and physically more dominant than the guys in the weight class. You look at Terrence Crawford, seemed like he should have been at 47. That would have been his natural weight. he tossing 147 pounders around. You know, he tossing them around. So, you know, it's a little bit different. But yeah, you know, he didn't really have the speed that, you know, he didn't have the speed last night, but eventually his power took over. Um, you know, and his accuracy took over. So eventually that's what happened. His power and accuracy all took over the fight. His sharpness took over the fight. Um, you know, and obviously he was able to trust himself physically, but one thing about it, it don't look like he had that explosiveness, and this is his first try. And obviously, it's an experiment. That's why it's a tune-up. First fight after loss, first fight at 140 40 pounds, which is known as junior or junior welterweight or super lightweight, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I don't, you know, and I like to see him put more punches together. You know, he throws a nice 1-2 shots, and defense was a little leaky last night. You know, with the shoulder roll, I never really liked the shoulder roll. And a lot of these guys use it, but don't. Like they just, you know, trying to mimic Floyd or mimic a fighter that uses it. He doesn't, in my opinion, he doesn't use it the right way. He does some little things that Floyd do, like he'll roll and come back with a short uppercut or something of that nature. But you know, Pedro Campo, that, you know, the remedy for that type of fight, that type of that shoulder roll, especially when these dudes can't use it, you know, flawlessly like Floyd can or James Toney can, was, you know, it's the jab. Even with those guys, that's the jab to the half guard or to the shoulder roll, whatever you want to call it, the Philly shell. That's the remedy to that. And also, you just aim for the top of the head. But that jab opens up that whole defense. You know, that's how you do it. It's the jab. But and then also when he throws a hook, he jumps off his feet. He keep doing that. And I think somebody at a higher weight class gonna make him pay. And the reason he reminds me of Adrian Broner. The reason he reminds me of Adrian Broner is that, you know, it just seemed like he needed his opponent to stay stationary to land. They really remind me of a lot of each other. He needs his opponent to stay stationary. He needs his opponent to stay in front of him to hit him. If you notice that, he needed to. That's why I told y'all Lomachenko really not no defensive fighter. He not a great defensive fighter. Lomachenko is a great pressure fighter. You know, that's what he is. Lomachenko is a great pressure fighter that like to come downhill at you. And just when he come downhill, he just use angles that's not normal. It's his angles that come forward. On the back foot, he ain't slipping and he ain't really slippery like that. It's just his pressure is his pressure and his angles. You know, his angles make his pressure look like an illusion, a defense. That's what it is. You know, and you know, I'm gonna talk about the stoppage. Well, he dropped him too. Shit. But I'm gonna talk about the stoppage at the end. But he reminds me of Broner. It seemed like he needed his opponent to remain stationary in front of him. That's what it looked like. Like the Broner was the same way. They really couldn't throw a lot of punches. Because their opponent, until their opponent started, you know, being stationary, and it seemed like they struggled to hit an elusive target. That's my synopsis on it. Like Adrian Broner, the reason Adrian Broner output wasn't higher because, you know, he needed you to stay still. Once you stood in front of Adrian Broner, he was able to tee off. Same thing with Teofimo Lopez. Lomachenko stayed in front of him, he was able to tee off. You know, Pedro Campa kind of, you know, can't stay in front. You know, he come in front of him. The volume was a little bit much early on. Then a little left hooks to the body, and then a little uppercuts and the counter uppercuts, and the left hook started to be a problem. But he keep jumping off his feet with that left hook. Somebody gonna take advantage of that. That's a bad habit to have. It's gonna get him injured, or it's gonna cause him to get knocked out. That's a bad habit to have. It ain't like Leo Santa Cruz waving his kind of wiggling his hand or nothing like that. That, you know what I'm saying? He jumping off his feet. That's not a great habit to have. You know, so but yeah, you know, he had an issue with hitting elusive targets, and that's kind of why he don't really want to get in the ring with Devin Haney, because it's gonna be hard to find that target. You know, but you know, with his, you know, even his power last night, you know, coming down the stretch, it wore Ocampo down in the 7th round. You got to understand he had 5 more rounds to go. So obviously Teofimo Lopez power is there, and it's going to only get better. And I think one of the reasons his power can get better, and if he is, he cut a little bit of the muscle he put on off and bring a little bit of the velocity back. And I think that's going to make him, even more efficient puncher. Because if you're not going to throw 3, 4, 5 punches, you're not going to throw combinations. You're going to throw 1, 2 shots, or you're going to, in this, he supplementing that, 3, 4 with just combinations with shots his opponents don't see coming. He's a counter puncher. But when he get in there with somebody that's going to utilize angles and stick and move, he's going to give him a world of problem because he can't hit a stationary target. When Campa came to him, he wore Campa down, but somebody else who can take it a level or two above it, like Josh Taylor, it'd be very interesting. Very interesting. You know what I'm saying? So that's my opinion on it, but that'd be very interesting to see if he got in there with somebody who can, who gonna be an elusive target. That's gonna be that issue. He can't really handle that perpetual movement. I can tell you that right now. That's gonna be something that him and his father got to, have to work on, him fighting movers, slick fighters. You know what I'm saying? And Regis Progress probably like only really got the division, that's really, really like that in his own special way. Because you start looking at the guys in the division, Sandor Martin, Postal might be a little, he ain't really sit, but I'm just talking about style. So I think Sandor Martin and Regis Progress, the two guys that, that's going to bring that problem. If Robert Jr. ever come back, Montana Love, they kind of, maybe. But yeah, he got a problem hitting stationary targets. You could tell. Heavy on his feet. But overall, I think his power translated well. I just like to see him drop a little bit of that additional muscle, lean out just a little bit more, and probably put that muscle on his legs, since he's not going to be fleet of foot anyway. Stop jumping up when he throw a left hook. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? He is what he is. He's a counter puncher. He's somebody to take his time. He work off your work. But solid performance last night. Apparently, BoxRec got him coming back December 10th at Madison Square Garden. So that's probably going to be about somebody like Arnold Barboza or etc. or somebody like that. So they got to come back at TBA. It won't probably be a world title fight. It'll probably be like, Pedro Campa, maybe Josh Taylor dropped the belt or whatever. So, we'll see what happens. Let me know what you girls and guys think. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. And subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, increase your chance to get notifications. We go live, we drop a video. Hit the link tree. Find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Apple Podcast, Spotify, the whole 9. Appreciate the love, support. One time for the one time. Y'all know what the business is. Goodfella TV. Check out the Fight Reaction playlist for more videos like this. Peace.